Hello and welcome back to the Full Force Combat podcast. I am Nathan and I am joined by Alex. Alex, how are you feeling? Obviously, you had your fight on Saturday. Didn't quite go the way we wanted it to, but just talk us through that experience and getting in that cage.
Yeah, fucking great, mate. Loved it. yeah. Fucking it was a good scrap, mate. Good 3 rounds in the bank. It wasn't the result we wanted, but fucking shit happens, done it. I know where I went wrong. I've already been watching back my fucking videos and clips and everything already. It was straight on the ball with it. No messing around. Yeah, know where I went wrong straight away. Just getting straight back in the gym tomorrow. That's like it is what it is. Like it is what it is. No excuses on my part. No excuses on my part. It was a good fight. For those who've seen it live, the whole event was great. The whole ECC show was great. It was good to be a part of that. Really grateful for that opportunity. So thanks to the ECC team for having me on, and obviously thanks to Matt and Dan for all the training they give me on that one. But yeah, on to the next, innit? Like shit happens.
Yeah,
On to the next.
what was the big lessons you learned from that, especially because I assume you're going to take more fights after this, not it's going to be one and done. So,
Yeah.
what was the thing you took away from that personally?
Well, to be honest, mate, I've got a whole list of like things. I've got a whole list of takeaways written down on my notes. A whole list of things what I wanted to address. I can't think of any now that off the top of
Have
my
you
head.
got any standouts or anything, or just even just stuff you took away personally
Yeah.
from that experience and that you just apply to life?
I was quite pleased with my striking. Push a hard pace as well. That was one thing I was really pleased with myself. That's what gave me a lot of success in the fight. Just pushing a pace and pushing forward, being on the front foot. I think that really suits my body type because I'm only around 5'8", me, so I need to get in people's faces. You know what I mean? Yeah, I found closing the distance. Um, I found closing the distance brought me a lot of success. I kind of feel like Dan, Dan actually, when I first met Dan and he interviewed me in the Forge and he was saying, "What's your style?" so to speak, and I was like, "Oh, I don't really know, but I've kind of feel like I've kind of found my strengths now, and I know what I'm good at, and um, and kind of." And it's all about moving forward now. It's my first one, mate. Like I just need to get in there. I just need to get in there, fucking get some experience under my belt, get some cage time in, because that was all I needed. That was the missing piece of the puzzle, and now I've got that. It's my first one, regardless of the result. It's my fucking first one.
Yeah.
Mate, I'm not too bothered. Like that's life. You win some, you fucking lose some. All I can do is improve. Like there's no point. Fucking sulking, is there? So yeah.
Yeah, all right. So, are you imagining we're getting back in the cage
Oh yeah,
2025?
100%.
One more lovely stuff.
100%,
Love to
mate.
hear that. Well, make
100%,
sure you
yeah.
stay tuned because we'll be covering it the whole time. Anytime Alex
Yeah.
is fighting, and we're not just going to hear some of his takes on here, but we're gonna also cover these fights as well. But we'll talk about some other fights that went down, possibly less important than Alex's. But we did have a UFC APEX card, Cannonier Rodriguez, and arguably a career best performance from Jared Cannonier. Really impressive stuff from him,
Yeah.
even after a tricky first round. What did you make of that fight?
Gregory Rodriguez he's always in fun fights. It seems every fight he's been in. Recently, it's been a banger. He come out, pushed a hard pace on Jared Cannonier. Obviously was dropping him and getting some really good success with his striking. But I just think the experience of Jared Cannonier allowed him to weather the storm, and then he turned the tables around and obviously finished him in round 4. Finished in round 4. I was really surprised by this fight. I was worried it might have been. I was worried it might have been two guys staying at range. Being a little bit, but make straight fireworks. This fight deserved fight of the night. Gregory Rodriguez looked great, even though he lost. Jared Cannonier, obviously defending his ranking, proving he's still worthy of being around the top guys. I think I'd like to see him fight Robert Whittaker next. I'm not sure what you think about that one. Robert Whittaker coming off a few losses. I think that'd be a nice fight for Jared Cannonier.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea. Have they fought before, haven't they? Am I silly in saying that, or no? They haven't. They haven't fought. No, they haven't. So that would be a fresh matchup. No, 100%. Actually, with that, it's probably better than the idea I had, which was just do the Strickland one again.
Oh no,
That would fill up an Apex card, and you can have that at the top there. But if you want to, because it was a close fight last time. I mean, you know what you'll get with that fight, but you know that. But the Whitaker fight sounds better. I prefer that. So possibly that. It's great. Cannon's 40 years old. Like he is. And he was a heavyweight, and he looked a smaller man in the fight. It's insane how he's done his career. And as you say, he's not out yet. And you know, I don't see him pushing for a title shot. But I mean, he could. I know he doesn't want to be seen as a gatekeeper, but I think in terms of middleweights, that is the gatekeeper of that division, don't you think?
Yeah, and like we mentioned before about Jared Cannonier being like a heavyweight, he's like he's a proper veteran, mate. Like he's been around for like donkey's years. All respect to him, mate. What an absolute legend he is. And but yeah, I don't know. I agree. I don't know about a title run. Obviously, because of his age, you never
Yeah.
know. You never know. But I say give him Robert Whitaker. See how he does with him. And if he beats Robert Whitaker, then why not?
Why not? Yeah,
Then why not?
throw
We
him
go
up
from
there.
there. See what happens for him.
That's it. I mean, because realistically, him and Whitaker, that's a good main event, and that is just a solid fight night main. You can whack that on nice and easy. And Cannonier Whitaker, the technical striking of Whitaker. I know Cannonier gets quite technical with it, and Whitaker does tend to get caught at least once in a fight. So when Cannonier lands on him, that could be a really fun one. But I mean, looking down this card, there was some good stuff on there. I mean, Yusuf Zalal, I heard a comparison to Mario Batista in the sense of they'd been having really fun fights, and then they get this big opportunity, and they sort of slow down that tempo a little bit. But he outclassed Calvin Kattar on Saturday, and you know, it's a shame. Probably lost a bit of goodwill with that third round where he's sort of running around for all of it, but a good general performance.
Yeah. Yusuf Salal made a few comments in his post-fight interview about the third round, and how he heard Calvin Kattar's corner saying, "Oh, stop running," or something like that. And just mad. But it was a really good fight. It was doing really well at switching stances. Yusuf Salal fighting from both orthodox and southpaw. I was quite impressed with his performance.
Yeah, it was solid, and you almost think because he was quite clearly winning the striking exchanges, you do almost wish a little bit. And obviously, we're not in there, so we can't know what he's thinking. And obviously, the best thing to do is get the win. But you almost think, can you just push that tempo up a little bit? Because I mean, I'm not sure if the finish would have been there, but he could have really set a precedent up at featherweight. But it was a general good win. I mean, who do you see Zalal in there next with? Because I mean, it's got to be more higher ranking competition now for him.
Well, he called out Brian Ortega and Yair Rodriguez in the interview in the press conference afterwards. Excuse me. But we called out Brian Ortega and Yair Rodriguez. I think they're probably way up the scale. I don't think the UFC is going to give him a fight of that high caliber. Well, to be fair, he just beat Calvin Kattar, who's top 10. So therefore, he's at least number 9, at least, or number 10. He's at least number 9 or 10. So I don't know. I think maybe a Brian Ortega won't be a bad shout.
Yeah, I don't mind the Ortega one at all. I mean, he doesn't tend to fight too often either. I don't know if he's got anything booked. I doubt it. Rodriguez is a good one too. They're all both solid shouts, to be fair. I mean, maybe Sterling if you want, but then Sterling might be a bit too big a name, if that makes sense for like that fight. So I like that. I like that. And in terms of other stuff on this card, I mean, was there anything else that stood out for you? There was some good stuff on there.
Oh yeah, first round knockout. Edmund Shabazian knocked out Dylan Budker. Budker. Yeah, his name's Budker. Yeah, knocked him out in the first minute and a half or something like that. Both kind of find each other in feet. Edmund Shabazian with a little pullback knockout KO. Beautiful. That was great. Deserved performance of the night. Earlier there was a fight earlier on in the prelims, which you highlighted last week. Gabriel Bonfim versus Chaos Williams. That was a good fight. That was a good fight. I was really impressed with Gabriel Bonfim on that one.
Yeah, he's good. I mean, both the Bonfim brothers are good. Obviously, they had one win, one loss. But you could tell Gabriel Bonfim he'd slowed himself down a little bit in terms of not rushing out, because I think that was the issue in his last one, that he lost, at least at Dolby, where he sort of went all guns blazing and then got caught out. And then he bounced back with a win. And I think again a really impressive win because Chaos Williams is good too, and it's an unfortunate matchup for him because he's a great fighter. But there was a good fight before that as well in terms of Smith Morales. There was a lot going on in that one. Morales, for someone that is a bit of a journeyman in terms of his career in and out of the UFC, he put in a good performance and was unlucky to lose. It was a loss, but Elijah Smith looked only 22 as well, so definitely someone to look out for. They're getting into a fun fight in the prelims, and then just that kick from Sadyakov that completely turned the fight upside down in that fight against Ismail Bonfim. I mean, he made the cardinal sin of admitting that you can't see rather than just pretending you're not. But he was winning that round, and then that perfectly timed kick, he just caught him, didn't he? And so some really impressive performances generally, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. I think a lot of the fights on this card could have been decent prelims for a pay-per-view, or maybe even just could have been on a better fight night in a stadium with fans around. I kind of think a lot of these fights are wasted in the Apex, and no one really bats an eye, and they kind of get lost in the prelims, early prelims, and you know, it's a shame. I think I'd like to see some of these names on a fight night stadium show, or maybe a pay-per-view. Just you could have had the. Actually, no, scratch that. Change. Yes, I'll scratch that.
But I mean, look, the Apex. I think we spoke about it before. At least me and Dan have about. It's just tired now. The Apex is a contender series place. You don't need to go there. I know Cannonier sort of does a residency there. I think all his fights are in the Apex nowadays. But we move past it, and luckily, next weekend we are moving. Or should I say, this weekend we are moving past that. We are heading over to Seattle. Not us personally, but we will be watching the UFC card taking place there. Henry Cejudo, Yadong Song. That's a big one. That's a really good fight.
Yeah, juicy. Yeah, juicy main event. Yeah, juicy main event. Son Yadong. Henry Cejudo was having a bit of a sticky one. Obviously, he made his comeback for Aljo and Fort Marab. Obviously, lost both of them contests, and now now I think this is him having to prove his kind of status facing a contender, so to speak. I think this is a fight with a lot of big stakes in it for Henry Cejudo. I mean, obviously, he's lost to two former bantamweight champs, which is no shame, no whatever. But now coming up a guy against like Son Yadong, he really needs to prove his place. I think really needs to come out really impressive.
That's it. I mean,
sorry, go on, mate.
It was just one of the worst time retirements ever because he just didn't need to retire after that fight against Dominic Cruz. And I mean, I don't really know what he was thinking, but at that point, you could genuinely make a case that Cejudo was one of the best pound for pound athletes to ever take part in MMA. He was on a real streak, and obviously so impressive with what he'd done before in wrestling. But he's come back. He's fought two of the best. To be fair to him, not as you say, come up short in both of them. And it's an interesting one against Song Yadong because he's been around for ages. He's still a young fighter, but he's had so many fights, 14 in the UFC, and he's coming off a decision loss to Peter Yan, but then bounced back from a loss against Sandhagen when he beat Ricky Simone, beat Chris Gutierrez. So I mean, he's an impressive guy. He's all action as well. So it'd be interesting to see how those styles mesh. How do you see that fight going, and who do you think will end up the winner?
I don't. Trust me, I don't know, because you think Henry Cejudo is going to wrestle him, going to try wrestle and pin him on the floor, but Son Yadong's agile, he's elusive. I don't know if he can hold it. I don't know if he's going to be able to, and I don't see him out striking him. I think this is a really interesting matchup. I think this, because I really can't see a path for success for both guys. What would be easy? So I think if I was a betting man, I'd probably put on this a decision for Henry Cejudo just off his experience alone, and be able to weather the storm. So
it's tough with people like Cejudo he's come back, and he's not like he's come in and he's eased himself in. He's come back and fought the two best fighters in the division. So it's tricky for him in that sense of this might be a sort of you must have forgot type performance where
Yeah.
he puts everyone on notice and says, no, well, you thought I was washed. I'm nowhere near that. But then this could be the coming out party for Song Yadong, who's sort of been on the periphery of breaking through and then seems to lose to a guy that's above him. Then he'll beat the guys below him. And I mean, at 27, there's still so much to improve on and get better at. And so the ceiling's always been really high for him. And he's no longer a prospect because he's just had, you don't have 14 fights and call yourself a prospect. It's not how it works. But it'll be really intriguing to see. I think I'm with you in terms of Cejudo decision seems most likely, but we will see. I mean, going down this card, there's some other stuff. It's a pretty solid card. It's not nothing crazy. I know it's been absolutely destroyed by, injuries and people having to pull out fights, and obviously Dom Cruz being the biggest one in terms of that fight with Rob Font, which unfortunately got injured in, and Curtis Blades had his fight moved. Edson Barboza was meant to fight Steve Garcia. Barboza unfortunately couldn't do that. But we do have a relatively strong co-main. Brendan Allen, Anthony Hernandez really surging in that middleweight division. I mean, there's been a lot of focus on the middleweights at the moment, and he's coming off that sort of last-minute main event win against Michel Pereira. Allen, solid, but not spectacular. What do you make of that fight? Because I think if Hernandez wins that, then he really is something that could build.
I think this is gonna end up being another decision, because I don't see Brendan Allen being able to sub him, and I don't see Anthony Hernandez being able to TKO him. So I'm not entirely sure. I don't know. Again, what another great fight this is. What another I'm to be honest, mate. I'm really stuck for words because I don't know how this fight's going to play out, because he's got Anthony Hernandez has got great takedown defense and great hands, and but to be fair, Brendan Allen's got decent hands too. Decent hands too. So this is really boggled my brain. This one, I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited for it now. Now that I'm actually sitting here thinking about it properly, I'm actually quite buzzing for this one. But it's a good clash of styles. Which guy's going to be able to pull off their game plan the most? Because I see Brendan Allen just trying to again trying to wrestle in, sub him, ground and pound to a TKO. So I don't know. A good clash of styles on this one. A good 50-50 matchup, in my opinion. Great booking by the UFC in this card. Great booking.
That's it. And I'm backing Hernandez to get it done. I think might be partly because Brendan Allen sort of annoys me a little bit, the way he talks about himself. And I think I've been really intrigued by the rise of Fluffy Hernandez, because it's an interesting nickname. We'll say that. But he's really surged. I mean, what is 6 wins? Or was it 5? 6 wins on the spin, and some really good wins. Shabazan obviously ground and pounded him, submitted Rodolfo Vieira, which tells you the sort of level he's at on the ground. Kopylov he beat. He's coming off a win against Pereira, as mentioned. It's going to be really intriguing to see if he can win this. Then again, that's a guy that could fight Jared Cannonier next, to be fair. If he wins this fight and wins it impressively. And I know again, Cannonier doesn't want to be the gatekeeper, but when a guy like Hernandez, you've got to test him against the best. And if he can beat Brendan Allen, I think the next step probably is that fight against Cannonier or someone of that ilk. So we'll be interested to see there. Looking down this card, is there anything that interests you? Obviously, Rob Font is now fighting a guy, Gene Matsumoto. I can't lie and say I know a whole lot about, but he's 16-0, which you don't get to that record unless if you're bad. So anything else on this card that stands out for you?
Could be a sleeper. Could be a sleeper, that one. Could be a sleeper. Could be one to keep an eye out of. Gene Silva coming back against Malesk. Baghdad's mate.
Melsick. Just call him Melsick. We'll leave with that.
That's the one. Gene Silva is an absolute highlight machine on the sly. I was watching back some of his post-fight interviews, and they're bonkers too. He's just a crazy guy. His last victory was against Drew Dober in the summer last year, and then I'm pretty sure he beat Jourdain a month, ridiculous, 2 weeks before that or something as well. So So I'm really excited to see the return of Gene Silver. Gene Silver is a great fighter, and he's really exciting.
And there are a couple fights of UK interest on this card as well. Not technically in terms of what the flag they display, but both English-based fighters, and that Modestas Bukauskas, he's fighting early on against Rafael Sequeira. Be interesting to see with Bukauskas. He's been in and out of the UFC, I believe, or yeah, he has, because he came into UFC, lost 1-1, lost 3, and then has come back. He won a bunch of fights, Cage Warriors, won 2 fights there, and has had a much more successful time back in UFC. So again, they're throwing him in there. He can go 4-1 on his return in a fight that, to be honest, looking at it, I'd back him to win against Rafael Sequeira. Not a guy I know an awful lot about, but 0-1 in the UFC. And a fight that I genuinely can't believe is this low down. Javid Basharat versus Ricky Simone. I mean, that is a high level fight.
Yeah,
and
yeah. I was surprised that one was on the early prelims.
His third fight. I mean, Basharat is coming off a loss to Zahabi, but there's no shame in that defeat, really, because Zahabi's a great fighter. And then talk about no shame in defeats. The guys Ricky Simone's lost to recently, Song Yadong, Mario Batista, and Vinicius Oliveira. I mean, these aren't bad guys. And we could say Simone is slightly over the hill at this point. He's fought so much and such a tough fighter. That style does wear. But I mean, that's a great fight. Those two, that could be a show stealer, or at least maybe a technical sort of battle between those two. So skilled fighters.
Yeah, 100%. There's a lot of sleepers on this card. Yeah. I'm just having a look down, and but just going back to Modestas Bukauskas. When he got cut, he had a really bad injury against Khalil Roundtree. He done the oblique kick and absolutely stomped his knee out, if you remember. And Modestas Bukauskas has been on a great comeback so far, I think. Let me just pull up when his last fight was. So summer last year. I'm pretty sure that was at the Co-op Arena. I remember watching it now. Lost the one before that, but yeah, still he's on a great comeback on his second round in the UFC. The guy's a legend in the UK scene, in my opinion, just for the pure comeback alone of having his knee stomped out and returning to Cage Warriors, going back to the UFC. That alone's legendary, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking forward to. I mean, there's that first, again, we've said it, I think, for a couple of these fight night cards, those first few fights could end up stealing the whole show. And I mean, it's a jam-packed weekend, really. I'm just sort of looking on Tapology as you do, and there's big boxing fights this weekend. You've got Bertibia versus Bivol 2, Dubois Parker, and that really stacked card. I mean,
what a fight that is, by the way.
Those Saudi cards are just insane.
Lad, what a fight! Come on, get me to the pub. Fight camp's over. Get me to the pub. Come on.
I mean, you've got that. You've got Octagon, Sam Creasy main event in that one. And you've got also just a little sleeper one possibly, because you never know what one are doing. But Roberto Soldic is fighting, and most importantly for any UK fans, Jonathan Haggerty's fighting. And I mean, in terms of Muay Thai, I don't know a whole lot, but if Jonathan Haggerty's fighting, that's almost appointment viewing, because he's just so good.
I wasn't aware Jonathan Haggerty was back. It wasn't too long ago since his last fight when he took the elbow knockout. That wasn't even too long ago. So that's a pretty fast return considering the last result. What a guy, mate! Wow, bloody hell! What a guy! I didn't even know he was fighting this weekend. Who's he fighting?
He's fighting a guy called Ru Wei. I'm not going to act like I know a whole lot about, but he's a kickboxer who's won an awful lot of kickboxing fights. So we don't know how good he is. So I don't want to say anything about what.
Is this a kickboxing fight? What he's fighting on?
No, this is Muay Thai. This is a Muay Thai.
Okay. Yeah.
I think.
At least
no, it's kickboxing. It is kickboxing. Sorry, it's kickboxing.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But that would be a great fight.
No elbows, so at least he won't get a repeat of last time, at least.
But there's so many, so it's absolutely jam packed, and we're gonna have more coming on Full Force Combat. I did an interview yesterday with Joanny Scott, and that will be dropping soon, hopefully. I mean, he's such an affable guy, and he's a great prospect as well. So definitely one to tune into, and make sure you're locked in, because we're going to be back every week, or as many weeks as we can, doing these podcasts, and we'll be talking about, hopefully, a really exciting week of fights and a great Seattle card. So make sure you like, subscribe, follow the Instagram as well. So important. We got a bunch of views over the period of when Alex fighting at that. Is it Extreme Combat Championship Combat or
ECC Elite Combat Championship.
Elite Combat Champion.
Yeah.
We got a lot there. Some interviews with some pro fighters and also the amateurs as well. So great weekend for Full Force Combat, and then we've got a great weekend coming up for MMA. So we will see you to talk all about that next time.
Yeah. Take care.